The growing body of trans-affirming children's literature contains such propaganda titles as Who Are You Supposed to Be? And Red, a Crayon Story. The latter pertains to a blue crayon that was mislabeled as red, causing it to experience an identity crisis. Both books appear to be passing on life-affirming truths to a younger generation. Asking the very question, who are we supposed to be, provides an important moral lesson typically reserved only for Sunday school. And the trial of being mislabeled is the kind of thing that almost every conservative can relate to. But these stories aren't about objective truth or our human, moral, and spiritual characteristics and growth. These new books are solely concerned with that narrow dimension of reality pertaining to the physical characteristics of oneself. This, in and of itself, would be harmless enough, but in the service of the trans movement, there is a horrifying and bloody reality going on here beneath all of this sermonizing. That such material is being mass-produced for and read to children, and this is cause for alarm. At the heart of this movement are two key factors. The first is unhappiness. Many trans people are unhappy because they loathe their physical form to the point of engaging in self-harm. Second factor is a nincompoop level grasp of what gender actually is in these books. Both of these factors are traits the trans movement has inherited from its progenitor, feminism. It was feminism, after all, that introduced Western society to a set of ideas bent on denying the reality of the genders, with the goal of eradicating femininity. And of course, the ranks of feminism are full of self-loathing women who are in denial about what it means to be born female. It's not the same as male. Though feminism never marketed itself as the product of bitter, self-loathing scolds, those who clamp down on its bait have likewise become miserable. Relationship coach and author Suzanne Venker details the ways in which feminism robs women of their power in the flip side of feminism, what conservative women know and men can't say. A book she wrote with her late aunt, the conservative icon, lawyer, and activist Phyllis Schlafly. She summarizes the book's core ideas in a 2019 article entitled 4 Feminist Lies That Make Women's Lives Miserable. We can examine these 4 falsehoods, these 4 lies, against some independent research and thereby arrive at the same inconvenient truth that feminism hurts women by denigrating femininity and what it means to be female. The first lie is that single women are happier without a man in their lives. As to whether or not it's true, a 2019 Catholic News Agency article pointed out that with or without children, married women were almost twice as likely to report that they were, quote, very happy with their lives compared to single or separated women, according to the findings of a Paul Dolan, a behavioral scientist at London School of Economics. Interestingly, according to Dolan's study, having children while married results in a 4% increase in the likelihood for reporting, quote, very happy. This status of very happy while among separated or single women having children negatively impacts happiness levels by 3 to 6%. So not only are women on the whole happier being married, being with a man in their lives, that man's presence has a direct impact on how she feels about her happiness as well as her children and her family unit. The second lie that Venker calls out is the preposterous claim that gender is a social construct. There are so many ways to refute this, I really don't know where to begin. Obviously, there's the physical, but leaving the most glaringly obvious differences aside, we can point to the 2019 NIH research that shows that even the brains of men and women differ. Men's brains contain more gray matter, possessing active neurons, while women's brains contain more white matter, which facilitates connectivity between the areas of the brain. Not only that, but the difference in complexity of male and female brains also means that men and women function mentally in ways that are fundamentally different. I know this may seem more controversial, but brain differences are but one of the many biological dissimilarities between the genders. Men and women show marked differences in the shape and lengths of their teeth, and heart volume, and how much they sweat when stressed, and the likelihood that they will suffer a heart attack, and in their capacity to detect even colors and smells. It should also be noted that women's pituitary glands produce prolactin, a hormone that stimulates milk production and the flow of milk, and also the flow of tears. Men, on the other hand, produced almost no prolactin. When you consider that these are just a few of the many physical differences that lead to the reality of human gender, the utter lunacy of asserting that gender differences are just a social contract or the craven deceptions of a power-mad patriarchy becomes markedly apparent. The next lie is the pernicious claim that modern technology has conquered the biological clock. In a word, no. According to UK fertility expert Dr. Gillian Lockwood, the ideal age for childbearing is still 25, and your ability to conceive falls off a cliff in your 30s. Of course, your mid-30s, drastically, and then your 40s, it becomes very difficult to conceive for a few and almost impossible for most. So Dr. Lockwood harshly criticizes medical experts who try to claim science says otherwise. After 40, even IVF has a less than 5% chance of working. Slim odds for anyone foolish enough to think biology can take a backseat to earning that corner office suite. Speaking of careers, that's the fourth lie, that having a career is more meaningful than marriage. We can allow that this is maybe true for an exception of people, but survey data shows that among all careers, the one with the highest rate of happiness for women is none other than that of the stay-at-home mom. This is according to a 2016 survey conducted by Redbook. Even more amazing, the data shows that the more children a mother has, the more likely she is to be happy, according to her own reporting. The survey found that mothers with 4 or more kids consider themselves, quote, very or extremely happy. What's interesting about this is that the feminist lie presumes that being a mother at home doesn't even count as a career. And yet, here it is at the top of the list for vocations that make women happy. Another interesting point is that among stay-at-home mothers, only 6% reported that they chose that path because of their spouse's wishes, as if they were forced to do this. So much for the tyrannical patriarchy. What's more, 2/3 of stay-at-home mothers also contribute to their household income in some way, even by running a small business from their home or doing something else from home. So generally speaking, not only does devoting oneself to being a stay-at-home mother surrounded by, ideally, lots of children lead to being extremely happy, quote, that same lifestyle also leads to a more personalized career path and one that is complete with its own tailor-made revenue stream. Feminists would rather you slave away as a faceless office drone, retire to a dreary and loveless, solitary existence where your work is your life, whereas non-feminists have discovered a life path that's both personally and professionally fulfilling and has proven to increase their satisfaction and happiness. It shouldn't be surprising that a philosophy that denies reality and encourages self-loathing leads to misery. The real question is, why? In the face of thousands of years of societal norms and the latest research data, some women keep falling for the feminist scam. Irony is that non-feminists have discovered and embraced the truth that the feminist and trans movements claim to represent, namely that it's by far better and healthier to live as who you are rather than as who you aren't. And this is actually what a lot of traditional and stay-at-home moms have realized, embraced, and that is why they have these higher levels of happiness.